Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to picture a super specific, but honestly incredibly common scene. Meet Marcus. He's 31, it's 11 p.m., and he's sitting at his kitchen table just completely paralyzed. The glow of his laptop is lighting up 3 open browser tabs packed with financial advice. Right next to that, a highlighter and this dense 400-page investing book called The Intelligent Investor. He's been staring at the exact same paragraph for 45 minutes, just trying to decode it. And he's probably thinking, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But here's the thing. He isn't stupid. That paragraph was literally written to be confusing. And that little moment of self-doubt Marcus is feeling, yeah, that's worth billions of dollars to the financial industry every single year.
Marcus actually spent 2 whole years trapped in this cycle. You know the drill. Falling down YouTube rabbit holes, endlessly scrolling stock-picking forums, listening to guys in suits argue about federal policy. But then, after basically underperforming a standard boring index fund by a mile, he just stopped trying to decipher all that complex financial jargon. Instead, he asked himself one completely paradigm-shifting question: wait, who actually benefits from me not understanding this? And honestly, that changes the whole game, right? Because it forces you to look at the system itself.
Section 1. The complexity myth, profiting from your confusion. So here's a hard truth no one really tells you upfront. The financial industry isn't complicated because money itself is complicated. It's complicated because, well, complexity is a highly profitable business model. Think about it. If you believe investing is this impossibly complex puzzle, you're going to hire a financial advisor. And they might charge a standard 1% fee on your portfolio every single year. Doesn't sound like a lot, right? But on a $300,000 portfolio, that is $3,000 a year. Every single year for the rest of your working life. But the reality, an effective, do-it-yourself, simple setup takes maybe 20 minutes a month to manage, and the fees are practically zero. So how in the world does the industry justify that massive fee? Well, they have to create this intimidating environment. They need you to genuinely believe that without their expert guidance, you're going to make some catastrophic mistake. So they throw these crazy words at you: derivatives, alpha, beta, expense ratios, rebalancing thresholds. And they run these dramatic ads showing intense traders staring at like 6 glowing screens of real-time data. They basically build an entirely foreign language, and then, for a very handsome fee, of course, they generously offer to translate the whole shebang for you. Guys, it's a trap. Which brings us to Section 2, the 3 numbers that matter, what you actually need to know. Once Marcus realized this complexity was literally just a trap, he threw out the dense books and stripped everything right down. He found out there are really only 3 metrics that actually matter. Number 1 is your savings rate. Now, to be clear, this isn't just the money sitting in your regular bank account. We're talking about the actual percentage of your monthly income that you actively invest. When Marcus calculated this for the first time, he realized he'd kind of been treating it as an afterthought. But here is the absolutely crucial point. This number is not an afterthought. It is literally the engine of your wealth. Everything else you do with investing is completely secondary to the sheer percentage of your income that you're actively putting to work. Okay, the second metric to watch is your expense ratio. Basically, this is the annual fee charged by whatever fund you're invested in. Now, I know it might seem like a tiny decimal, but it is the silent killer of wealth. Most actively managed funds charge between 0.5% and 1.5%. But a simple index fund, we're talking just 0.03%. Let's put that into perspective because it's wild. If you invest $200,000 over 30 years, that seemingly tiny difference in fees can cost you over $100,000 in lost returns. Seriously, no joke. One tiny number can cost you 6 figures. And the third and final metric is time in market. Notice I didn't say timing the market. It's the actual time your money spends in the market. Every single month Marcus spent researching the quote-unquote perfect investment was a month his money just sat completely idle on the sidelines. We constantly trick ourselves into thinking that doing research is the return. It really isn't. The market itself is the return. Getting in and staying in is the actual strategy. So Marcus literally just wrote these 3 numbers on a piece of paper, stuck it to his monitor, and focused entirely on those. Moving on to Section 3. The simple solution. What simple actually looks like. So a perfectly optimized portfolio, it actually isn't broken up into dozens of confusing little slices. No, it's a single, massive slice taking up literally 100% of the pie. And it's labeled Total Market Index Fund. And that is exactly what Marcus invests in today. Just one fund. It tracks the entire stock market in a single ticker. It costs almost nothing to hold. It requires absolutely zero research. And here's the absolute kicker. it historically outperforms the vast majority of those highly paid, actively managed funds over any 15-year period. It doesn't win because it's super clever. It wins because it's intentionally not trying to be clever. And that is exactly what the financial industry really doesn't want you to figure out. Look, the best performing strategy available to the average person, a strategy backed by decades of hard data and literally endorsed by Warren Buffett in his will, is just this simple. Step 1, open a brokerage account. Step 2, have a paycheck. Step 3, set an automatic monthly transfer. That's it. You don't need a fancy Bloomberg terminal, you just need the discipline to do the exact same boring thing on the first of every single month, and crucially, to stop obsessively checking the market every day. Once Marcus set this up, his money moved automatically. And funny enough, his returns actually improved.
All right, Section 4, the real cost of waiting, the hidden damage of complexity.
The complexity myth really lays out 3 devastating traps, both psychological and financial. First up, delay. Every person who spends 6 months researching just because they don't feel quite ready yet is losing 6 months of compounding interest. It feels super productive, but honestly, it's just delay dressed up as diligence. Now, add that to the second trap, decision fatigue. When the industry makes everything feel impossibly complex, every single choice feels super high stakes. And high stakes, they cause paralysis. Inaction is always going to be your most expensive choice, which leads straight into trap number 3, misplaced trust. Because you feel totally overwhelmed, you end up trusting the very people who benefit from your confusion, paying a massive premium for advice that, a lot of times, underperforms a basic index fund. Simplicity isn't the lazy option here, folks. It's the disciplined one. Let's put a hard number on that first trap, delay. 7%. That is the historical average annual return of the U.S. stock market. Remember how Marcus waited 2 whole years before making his very first investment because he felt he needed to understand more? Well, he calculated what those 2 years of sitting on the sidelines actually cost him in loss compounding at a 7% return. And wow, it was a massive financial hit. That 7% is entirely lost for every single year you wait around to feel ready. Time is the one asset you can absolutely never ever buy back. So let's jump back to Marcus at his kitchen table today. The picture is completely different now. Those browser tabs, completely closed. The highlighter has been tossed in a drawer somewhere, and that heavy 400-page book of jargon is long gone. He is completely relaxed. On the first of every month, his transfer happens automatically. He has no idea what the market's going to do tomorrow, and more importantly, he doesn't need to know. His 3 numbers, his savings rate, his expense ratio, and his time in market are all moving in the right direction entirely on autopilot. And this brings us to a really crucial takeaway. If you have been waiting to feel smart enough, you already are. The system was never designed for you to figure it out quickly. It was specifically designed to confuse you so you'd pay a toll. But you now have the clarity to bypass that system entirely. By focusing on the few things that actually matter and automating the rest, you take your power back. So look at your own finances today and ask yourself, what is one complex thing you are paying someone else for right now that you could simply simplify tomorrow?